Warning now about canned tuna. The quick and easy protein lots of families find convenient. Problem is, it's known to contain mercury.
That can of tuna in your pantry right now. The one you have been buying for years without thinking twice. The one you feed your kids. The one you trust. The CEO of one of Canada's most purchased tuna brands was convicted of criminal price fixing and sentenced to prison. Canadian families kept buying it. The label never changed. Not one word. That is not the worst thing on this list. 7 canned tuna brands sold in Canadian grocery stores that you need to put back on the shelf. One carries a dolphin-safe certification that a federal lawsuit revealed could not be independently verified. 2 brands pleaded guilty to the same criminal conspiracy. Drop a comment with the tuna brand in your pantry right now. Brand 1, Bumblebee, TPVG Corporation. Pick up a can of Bumblebee tuna. Look at the label, the cheerful yellow, the familiar logo, the brand that has been in Canadian pantries for decades. Nothing on that label tells you what happened inside the company that made it. In 2017, Bumblebee Foods pleaded guilty to criminal price-fixing conspiracy. The scheme ran for 3 years between 2011 and 2013. Bumblebee coordinated with Star-Kist and Chicken of the Sea to fix canned tuna prices across North America. Canadian consumers paid artificially inflated prices for every single can they bought during those 3 years. The overcharges were collected. They were never returned. Then it gets worse. Former CEO Christopher Lishevsky was convicted on all counts of price-fixing conspiracy in 2019 and sentenced to 40 months in federal prison. A sitting chief executive of one of Canada's most purchased tuna brands was convicted of criminally defrauding the families buying his product every week at Sobeys and Loblaws. The Bumblebee label has not been updated to communicate that fact. It never will be. Bumblebee paid a $95 million criminal fine. The company filed for bankruptcy in 2019. New investors acquired the assets, renamed the corporate entity TPVG Corporation, and kept selling under the Bumblebee name. The cheerful label survived everything. The accountability did not. For seniors on fixed incomes who bought Bumblebee through 3 years of criminal price coordination, that money was extracted deliberately. For single parents stretching a grocery budget, the price you paid was not a fair market price. Someone at a boardroom table set it criminally higher and went to prison for it. Your fix, a convicted price-fixing operation rebranded under new ownership, is still the same supply chain. The criminal record is permanent. The label is not designed to show it to you. Subscribe right now, because the brand right after this one was part of the exact same criminal conspiracy, and its mascot is a cartoon designed to make your children trust it. Next, the cartoon fish, the $100 million criminal fine, and the labor allegations that followed. Brand 2, Star-Kist, Dongwon Industries, Charlie the Tuna, the cartoon that has been selling Canadians canned fish for decades. Friendly, familiar. Designed specifically to make children feel safe around a brand. That cartoon is doing a lot of work right now. Star-Kist pleaded guilty in 2018 to the same criminal price-fixing conspiracy that sent Bumblebee's CEO to prison. The fine was $100 million, the largest criminal fine ever imposed in a United States packaged food price-fixing case. Charlie the Tuna was on the label the entire time. Charlie the Tuna is still on the label now. Star-Kist is owned by Dongwon Industries, a South Korean conglomerate headquartered in Seoul. American brand identity, cartoon mascot, South Korean corporate ownership. None of that is prominent on the label sold at Metro, Sobeys, and Loblaws across Canada. What is prominent is a cartoon fish that has been engineering consumer trust since 1961. Then there is the American Samoa Processing Facility. A 2018 Associated Press investigation documented labor concerns, including below minimum wage payment allegations at the facility. The allegations resulted in a separate legal settlement. 2 criminal investigations. 1 labor documentation. 1 cartoon mascot designed to make children reach for the shelf. Star-Kist pouches and cans contain pyrophosphate, vegetable broth, and in flavored varieties monosodium glutamate listed as natural flavor. The EU requires explicit MSG declaration on every food label. Canada does not. Your children eating flavored Star-Kist pouches are consuming glutamate that the label was specifically designed not to name. For seniors on fixed incomes whose grocery budgets were inflated by 3 years of criminal price coordination. For families buying the pouch format believing modern packaging signals a cleaner product. For kids reaching for the flavored variety because a cartoon told them it was good. Charlie the Tuna is a cartoon. The federal criminal record is a documented fact. Your fix, $100 million guilty plea. Labor allegations at the processing facility. MSG concealed behind natural flavor. The mascot was designed to build trust. The federal record documents what that trust was built on. Subscribe. What comes next is not a criminal conviction. It is something the Associated Press spent months investigating on fishing vessels in the middle of the ocean. Next, the mermaid, the forced labor investigation, and the certification that a federal lawsuit said could not be verified. Brand 3, Chicken of the Sea, Thai Union Group. The mermaid has been on Canadian grocery shelves for generations. Smiling, trustworthy, the kind of label that sits in the pantry without ever being questioned. For immigrant families across Canada, Chicken of the Sea is not just a brand. It is a pantry staple carried across from food traditions in countries where the mermaid has been present for decades. South Asian households, Caribbean households, Southeast Asian households, Latin American households. The emotional connection is real. Thai Union Group is not. Thai Union Group is a Thai seafood conglomerate headquartered in Samut Sakhon, Thailand, one of the largest tuna processors on Earth. In 2016, The Guardian and the Associated Press published a joint investigation documenting forced labor aboard fishing vessels supplying Thai Union's processing facilities. Workers held against their will, subjected to violence, denied wages, denied basic rights. Thai Union subsequently committed to supply chain reform and launched a public sustainability initiative. The reforms are documented and ongoing. The forced labor that preceded them is also documented and permanent. The Dolphin Safe certification on Chicken of the Sea packaging was the subject of a 2013 federal lawsuit in the United States. The lawsuit alleged the certifying body relied on observer programs that could not independently verify dolphin interactions across full fishing operations. The lawsuit was settled. The certification remained on the label. The verification gap the lawsuit identified was never publicly resolved. Then, there are the flavored varieties. Monosodium glutamate listed as natural flavor. The EU requires explicit MSG declaration. Canada does not. Your children eating flavored Chicken of the Sea are consuming glutamate a label was designed to hide from the parents reading it. For immigrant families for whom this brand is a cultural institution. For parents trusting the Dolphin Safe certification without knowing its legal history. For children whose weekly lunch contains MSG that the label chose not to name. The mermaid builds trust. The Associated Press documented what that trust is built on. Your fix: forced labor supply chain investigation. Challenged Dolphin Safe certification. MSG concealed as natural flavor. The reforms came after the documentation. The documentation is permanent. Brand 4, Cloverleaf, Mitsubishi Corporation, the maple leaf, the coastal imagery, the name that sounds like a Canadian fishing village where someone's grandfather still pulls nets out of cold Pacific water. Cloverleaf has been the dominant canned tuna brand in Canada for generations. That dominance was built on one thing: the assumption that the maple leaf means Canadian. It does not mean that. It has not meant that since 2012. In 2008, London-based private equity firm Lion Capital acquired Cloverleaf Seafoods. In 2012, Prince's Group, a British food company majority owned by Mitsubishi Corporation of Japan, completed the acquisition. The maple leaf on your tuna can is a graphic design decision made by a marketing department in a corporation headquartered outside Canada. It is not a sourcing commitment. It is not a supply chain statement. It is decoration on a label engineered to inherit trust it did not earn. No species disclosure. No country of origin for the fish inside the can. Canned tuna in Canada is not required to tell you either of those things. Cloverleaf relies on that gap entirely. A 2020 study published in Environmental Research confirmed that albacore tuna carries significantly higher mercury concentrations than skipjack. The neurological implications for children and developing fetuses are acknowledged in Health Canada's own guidance documents. Cloverleaf is not required to tell you which species is in the can. They do not volunteer it. For families who have reached for the maple leaf for 30 years believing they are buying Canadian. For pregnant women consuming albacore mercury levels without knowing the species on their plate. For seniors whose decades of loyalty to this brand is being collected quietly by a Japanese multinational. Mitsubishi Corporation owns the maple leaf. That fact fits on one line. It does not fit anywhere on the label. Your fix: the maple leaf is a design choice. The species and origin are missing. Mercury variance between species is documented and significant. The label withholds exactly what you need. Next, the cheapest protein on the shelf, the unnamed contractor behind it, and what the Associated Press found in the supply chain feeding it. Brand 5, great value. Tuna, Walmart Canada. The yellow label, the lowest price in the canned fish aisle. the protein that single parents and fixed income seniors reach for when the budget is already gone and there are still mouths to feed. Walmart knows exactly who is standing in that aisle. The demographic data, the purchase frequency, the store placement analytics, and Walmart is betting those families are too stretched and too exhausted to read past the front of the can. There is no disclosed processor, no named cannery, no country of origin for the fish inside. Walmart sets the cost floor. An unnamed contractor fills the tin. You never know where that tuna was caught, which vessel hauled it in, or under what conditions it was processed before it landed on your shelf. That anonymity is not accidental, it is structural. A 2016 Associated Press investigation documented forced labor aboard fishing vessels supplying major tuna processors across Southeast Asia, the primary sourcing region for low-cost private label tuna sold in Canadian grocery stores. Workers trapped on vessels, denied pay, denied the ability to leave. The CFIA cannot screen for labor compliance without processor disclosure. Great Value's unnamed contractor structure makes that verification impossible for every single can you open. Then there is the pyrophosphate, a phosphate salt added to increase water retention in the fish. A significant portion of what you are paying per gram is absorbed water, not protein, not nutrition, water. The EU requires pyrophosphate to be declared prominently with a clear consumer explanation. Canada permits it to be buried in fine print. Health Canada has not acted. For single parents feeding 3 kids on $400 a month. For seniors, where $2 per can is real money. For families where the difference between Great Value and a named brand determines what else goes in the cart. Walmart is betting you are too exhausted to look any closer. Your fix. No named processor means no accountability on mercury, species, labor, or safety standards. The $2 savings does not cover what it costs you. Go check your pantry right now. Next, the premium private label that charges more for the exact same opacity, and the legal species category hiding 3 completely different mercury profiles inside one label. Brand 6. President's Choice. Flaked Light. Tuna. Loblaws. The Step Up. The premium private label. The can that costs $1 more than Great Value and sits on the same shelf at No Frills and Real Canadian Superstore, projecting the quiet confidence of a better choice. Families reach for it believing the extra dollar buys something. Better sourcing, cleaner ingredients, more accountability. A named producer somewhere in the supply chain that actually knows what is in the can. It buys none of those things. President's Choice Flaked Light Tuna is sold across every Loblaw banner in Canada. Loblaws. Real Canadian Superstore, No Frills, Fortino's, Zehrs, Value Mart. The manufacturer behind every single one of those cans is not named. The cannery is not named. The processor responsible for mercury testing, species accuracy, and food safety compliance is invisible to the family opening the can at home. The premium positioning is entirely a marketing decision. The sourcing accountability it implies does not exist. Then there is the species problem. Light tuna is a legal category in Canada, not a species. That single legal category covers skipjack, yellowfin, and big-eye tuna. 3 different fish. 3 dramatically different mercury profiles. Big-eye mercury concentrations approach albacore levels, according to a 2019 FDA mercury monitoring report directly applicable to Canadian import standards. Yellowfin sits between skipjack and big-eye. Skipjack is the lowest mercury option in the category. The PC label tells you none of this. Health Canada's mercury guidance for light tuna does not account for species variation within that legal category. President's Choice exploits that gap precisely while charging a premium that implies it has already done the work of closing it. PC tuna also contains pyrophosphate, vegetable broth, and added salt-pushing sodium per serving well above plain water-packed alternatives. No nutritional justification, no front label disclosure. For pregnant women following Health Canada, mercury guidance for light tuna. That guidance cannot protect you when the species inside the can is legally unspecified. For seniors monitoring sodium intake who trust the PC brand to have already considered that. For families paying the premium at No Frills believing the step up from Great Value, purchase something real. The Weston family's Loblaw empire generates over $60 billion in annual revenue. The contractor filling these cans is unnamed. The premium price is real. The accountability it implies is not. Your fix. Light tuna is not a safety guarantee. It is a legal category covering 3 mercury profiles, The unnamed processor and unspecified species mean the premium you are paying purchases opacity, nothing more. Brand 7. No name. Tuna. Loblaws. Weston. No name has earned a recommendation on this channel before. The beans. The tomatoes. 3 ingredients. Complete honest simplicity. The product was exactly what the label said it was. Nothing hidden. Nothing added. Just the food. That recommendation does not transfer here. Not even close. No name canned tuna sits in the same yellow and black packaging that built the brand's reputation for honest simplicity. The problem is that honest simplicity does not exist inside this can. What exists is undisclosed species within the legal light tuna category, an unnamed cannery with zero processor accountability, pyrophosphate water retention systems inflating water weight over protein, and vegetable broth reducing actual nutrition per gram while quietly adding sodium. The yellow label is the only thing No Name Tuna shares with the products that earned the brand its reputation. The unnamed manufacturer behind No Name Tuna cannot be traced by any consumer opening the can at home. In a product category where mercury levels vary significantly between species, where a documented percentage of imported seafood shipments have historically failed Canadian food safety screening, and where CFIA recall systems depend entirely on processor identification, processor anonymity is not a minor inconvenience. It is a documented safety gap wearing a familiar yellow label. The EU requires private label seafood manufacturers to be disclosed by name on packaging. Canada does not. CFIA permits Loblaw's $60 billion retail operation to sell tuna with no named processor behind it, collecting the margin, keeping the contractor invisible, letting the yellow label carry the trust the brand built somewhere else entirely. For families trusting No Name Tuna the same way they trust No Name beans, the transparency that earned that trust is absent in this aisle. For pregnant women applying Health Canada mercury guidance to a species that is legally unspecified from a source that is completely unnamed. For seniors treating the yellow label as a safety signal, it was never designed to be in this category. No Name earned its reputation can buy can in the dry goods aisle. It spent that reputation here without telling you. Your fix? Species disclosure and processor accountability are not optional in canned tuna. No Name provides neither. The yellow label is not a guarantee. In this aisle, it is a gap. Go check your pantry right now. Pick up every can, find the species, find the processor. If neither is on the label, you now know exactly what that silence means. 7 brands, a CEO sentenced to prison, a forced labor investigation documented by the Associated Press, a maple leaf owned by Mitsubishi, a legal species category covering 3 different mercury profiles, and a yellow label that spent the trust it built in a different aisle entirely. 2 brands answered every question those 7 refused to ask. Here is what they chose instead. Safe Pick 1. Safe Catch. Elite Wild. Safe Catch does something no other mainstream canned tuna brand on the Canadian market does. They test every single fish for mercury before it enters a can. Not batch testing, not sample testing. Every individual fish. To a mercury standard 8 times stricter than the FDA limit and fully consistent with Health Canada guidance for the most sensitive populations. Think about what that means. Every can of Safe Catch Elite that reaches your shelf has a documented mercury result attached to the specific fish inside it, not an average, not an estimate from a sample pulled 3 batches ago. The actual fish, the actual number. Safe Catch Elite uses pole and line-caught albacore. Full species disclosure on the label. Full origin documentation. No pyrophosphate. No vegetable broth. No MSG. No water retention systems of any kind. The ingredient list reads, wild albacore, tuna, sea salt. 2 ingredients. That is the entire list. Available at Whole Foods Canada, select Loblaw's natural food sections, and direct order with Canadian shipping. Approximately $4 to $6 per can. For pregnant women and young children, Safe Catch is the only canned tuna brand recommended by multiple North American prenatal nutrition organizations specifically because of individual fish mercury testing. That recommendation is documented and verifiable. For cancer survivors and seniors monitoring mercury exposure, individual fish testing eliminates the batch-level mercury variability that every other brand on this list cannot account for. Safe Pick 2. Raincoast Trading, British Columbia. Raincoast Trading was founded in 1995 on the British Columbia coast with a straightforward premise. Source wild Pacific seafood from Canadian and Alaskan waters. Name the species. Document the fishery. Do not add anything that does not belong in a can of fish. 30 years later, that premise has not changed. Raincoast Trading is a certified B Corporation, third-party verified environmental and social accountability standards that go beyond regulatory minimums and require independent assessment to maintain. Not a marketing claim. A verified certification with documented methodology anyone can look up. The canned albacore tuna ingredient list reads, albacore tuna, sea salt. 2 ingredients. Full species disclosure. Canadian Pacific origin documented on every product. Pole and line caught with vessel and fishery documentation available directly from the company. No pyrophosphate. No vegetable broth. No MSG. No unnamed processors. No legal category loopholes covering 3 different mercury profiles. Available at Whole Foods Canada, select Sobeys locations, independent natural food retailers across the country, and direct order nationwide. Approximately $4 to $6 per can. For families who have read every brand on the avoid list and want Canadian-sourced tuna with documented fishery accountability, Raincoast Trading is the answer the British Columbia coast built before the rest of the industry decided accountability was optional. For athletes tracking every nutritional input. For health-conscious buyers who want the origin named, the species confirmed, and the certification verified by someone other than the company selling the product. This is what the entire canned tuna aisle should look like. Almost none of it does. One question. Every single time you pick up a can of tuna, what species is this and where was it caught? Bumblebee cannot answer it. Its CEO went to prison instead. Starkist cannot answer it. It paid the largest criminal fine in packaged food price-fixing history. Chicken of the Sea built its answer on a certification a federal lawsuit challenged. Cloverleaf hides the answer behind a maple leaf owned by Mitsubishi. Great Value never had an answer. President's Choice charges a premium to avoid the question. No name spent the trust that might have made you stop asking. Safe Catch and Raincoast. Trading answer it every single time. Put those 2 names in your phone right now. Share this with someone who eats tuna every week without reading the can. Subscribe so you never miss the next investigation. Question everything. Read the back. Protect your family.